One day, something inside you just gets tired, tired of overthinking every message, tired of replaying every conversation in your head, tired of wondering what people meant, why they did what they did, why they didn't stay, why they didn't care the way you cared. You lie in bed at night, staring at the ceiling. Your phone is silent, but your mind is not. It keeps talking. You shouldn't have said that. They don't respect you. Maybe you're not enough. Maybe they forgot you already. And the strange part is, none of this is actually happening right now. But it still hurts like it is. And you don't even notice when it started. But slowly, your peace started depending on people. A message from someone can make your whole day better. No reply from someone can ruin your whole night. A small word from someone can lift you up. A cold tone from someone can break you down. And you start living like this without even realizing it, always waiting for people to treat you right so you can finally feel okay inside. But life doesn't work like that, because people are not always going to act how you want. They will be kind one day and distant the next. They will understand you one moment and misunderstand you the next. They will stay today and leave tomorrow. And every time that happens, you feel like something is wrong with you. You start thinking maybe you are too much, or maybe not enough, or maybe you're just hard to love. But what if the truth is something else? What if the problem was never you? What if the real problem is that you gave too much power to things you cannot control? There was a time when a man used to get hurt by everything. If someone ignored him, he felt disrespected. If someone spoke harshly, he felt attacked. If someone didn't reply, he felt unwanted. If someone laughed without him, he felt left out. Every small thing had power over him. He didn't notice it at first, but one day he was sitting alone after another argument, feeling heavy inside, and he asked himself a simple question. Why does everything hurt me? That question stayed in his mind, not because life was too hard, but because he realized something strange. The world was not hurting him. People were not hurting him. It was his reaction, his thoughts, his expectations that were hurting him, and that was a hard truth to accept, because it means you are not just a victim of what happens to you. You're also part of how much it affects you. And once he saw that, something started changing slowly inside him. The first thing he learned was this: not everything deserves a reaction. At first, this sounds simple, but it's not. Because when someone ignores you, your mind wants to react immediately. When someone disrespects you, your ego wants to fight back immediately. When someone hurts your feelings, your emotions want to explode immediately. But reacting immediately is where you lose control. There was a small moment in his life that changed him. One day at work, his boss spoke to him in a harsh tone in front of others. Normally, he would feel embarrassed, angry, disrespected. Normally, he would replay it all day in his head. But that day, something different happened. He paused. He didn't react instantly. He just stayed quiet for a moment. And in that small pause, he noticed something important. The anger was not coming from outside. It was rising inside him. And if it rises inside him, it can also pass inside him. That was the beginning of his control. He realized something powerful. Between what happens to you and how you react, there is a space, and in that space lies your freedom. Most people never use that space. They jump straight into reaction, straight into emotion, straight into regret. But he started using it, slowly, not perfectly, but slowly. Another thing he realized was even deeper. Most of his pain was not coming from reality, but from expectation. He expected people to understand him without explaining. He expected people to treat him with the same care he gives. He expected loyalty without conditions. He expected consistency in a world that is not consistent. And every time reality didn't match expectation, it felt like pain. One day, he met an old man in a quiet park. The old man was sitting alone, feeding birds, looking calm. The man asked him, "Aren't you lonely sitting alone like this?" The old man smiled and said something he never forgot. "I used to be lonely when I needed people to be okay. Now, I am not lonely because I stopped needing that." That sentence hit him deeply because he realized something. Loneliness is not about being alone. It is about depending on others for your peace. From that day, he started changing how he looked at people. He stopped expecting perfect behavior. He stopped expecting constant attention. He stopped expecting people to always understand him. Not because he stopped caring, but because he stopped depending. And something strange happened after that. He felt lighter, not because people changed, but because he changed how much power he gave them. But the journey was not easy. There were still moments when he would fall back into old thinking, like when someone didn't reply, or when someone he trusted acted differently, or when someone he cared about walked away. In those moments, the old feelings would come back: confusion, anger, sadness. But now, he did something different. He didn't chase answers immediately. He didn't blame himself immediately. He didn't react immediately. He waited, and in that waiting, clarity came, because most emotional pain needs reaction to survive. If you don't feed it, it slowly dies. One night, he had another realization. He was sitting alone, scrolling through old messages, thinking about people who were no longer in his life, and suddenly he asked himself, "Why am I still living in moments that are already gone?" That question stopped him, because it was true. The past was not happening anymore, but his mind was still living there, and every time he went back there, he hurt himself again. That night, he made a silent decision. He would stop visiting pain that it's already finished. He would stop reopening old wounds with thoughts. He would stop carrying people who had already left. It didn't mean he forgot. It meant he stopped suffering twice. There was also something he learned about respect. For a long time, he thought respect comes from others. If people respect you, you feel valuable. If they don't, you feel small. But slowly, he understood something different. Respect starts from how you treat your own peace. If you allow people to disturb your mind easily, you teach yourself that your peace is weak. But when you stay calm, even when others are not calm, you start respecting yourself in silence. And people feel that, not because you say it, but because you show it. Another moment changed him deeply. He once argued with someone close to him. He tried to explain everything. He tried to prove his point. He tried to be understood, but the more he explained, the worse it got. Words became louder. Feelings became heavier. Nothing got solved. Later, he sat alone and realized something simple. Not everyone is meant to understand you, and forcing understanding creates more pain than peace. From that day, he stopped trying to win every argument. He started choosing peace over being right. And strangely, his relationships improved, not because others changed, but because he stopped fighting battles that didn't matter. As time passed, he noticed something even deeper. Things that used to hurt him stopped hurting as much, not because life became easier, but because his mind became stronger. Someone could ignore him, and he would feel calm. Someone could speak harshly, and he would not break inside. Someone could leave, and he would still be okay. And this is where the real shift happened. He stopped taking everything personally. He understood that people act from their own pain, not always from your worth. Someone's cold behavior is not always about you. Someone's silence is not always rejection. Someone's anger is not always your fault. Most people are fighting their own battles silently. And when you understand that, you stop bleeding from things that were never meant to cut you. One evening, he was walking home as the sun was setting. The sky was calm, the air was quiet, and for the first time, he felt something he had been chasing for years. Peace without reason, no message needed, no approval needed, no validation needed, just peace. And in that moment, he understood something deeply. Nothing outside him had changed, but everything inside him had. And that was enough, because when your mind stops needing constant approval, when your heart stops chasing constant attention, when your thoughts stop reacting to every small thing, you become free, not because the world became perfect, but because you stopped letting the world control your inner state. And slowly, he understood the truth he once could not believe. Nothing and no one can hurt you forever unless you keep holding on to the hurt. And when you finally let go of that, you don't become cold. You don't become emotionless. You become calm. And in that calmness, you find something most people never find: yourself.